is the Chris Abraham Show.
Hey, ChatGPT, this is Chris Abraham with the Chris Abraham Show. I was wondering if you'd like to co-host an episode about my last D&D and my first D&D and my first level fighter experience last Saturday before I go to my second event tomorrow with my second level fighter.
Hey, Chris, that sounds like a fantastic idea. I'd love to co-host an episode with you about your D&D experiences. Can dive into your journey from your first D&D game to your latest adventures with your second level fighter. How about we start with a bit of background on how you got into D&D originally? Then we can talk about your recent session and what you're looking forward to in the upcoming one.
Well, I pasted the entire all the notes from the last game. Can you read me all the notes that I pasted into your text box?
Sure, Chris. Here are the notes you pasted. The story begins in the Forgotten Realms in the region of Faerun, known as the Sword Coast. The adventurers, Retribution, Tiefling Paladin, Vander, Drow Rogue, and Radley, Human Fighter, are gathered outside the western gate of the city of Yatar. After observing as heavily armed and armored adventurers, the gate officer cues them with some other crusty swords for hire types to ask their business. Retribution and Vander speculate whether it is actually because of their tiefling and drow lineages. However, they find the rank and wave them through with only half an ear to their statements. The collection of mercenaries, rogues, and hucksters then disperse into the city streets. Vander locates a tavern called One Foot in the Boat. Soon after, he spies both Radley and Retribution entering separately. Recognizing them from the gate, he offers them a drink after sizing them up as easy mark. He believes a tiefling, displaying the heraldry from the Order of the Gauntlet, and a human rube fresh from a small village will be easy picking. They pass some idle conversation, and after introductions wander the tavern to mingle with other patrons. Radley convinces a winsome half-elven minstrel to play them a song, while Vander speaks with a tough-looking halfling. And Radley and Vander speak on why he is called that. A passing bar wench says he used to be a bare-knuckles boxing champion. After a brief conversation, Mitten decides he likes the crowd's boxy and spots Vander a drink. The drow then turns his attention to a pretentious news crier with a message bag full of sanitation notices. Abruptly at the opposite side of the bar, a slender young woman bundled in a shawl and headscarf, Mirabelle, experiences a seizure. Her burly sister, Marjorie, a large woman with shocking red hair, pushes other patrons away to make space. Despite Mirabelle's distress, the local patrons seem accustomed to the outbursts. Mirabelle stands rigidly with her head cast back and arms outspread. She then speaks, proclaiming a litany of nonsensical phrases before the episode subsides. Then her sister guides her back down to her chair. The tavern patrons are heard to say she should be sent away to a nunnery or asylum. Others speculate about whether she sees the future and whether her words are prophetic. However, Marjorie angrily implores the patrons to just leave them alone. Meanwhile, Retribution sees none of this occur. Instead, he lapses into a vision. He sees an unnaturally slender woman with an alabaster complexion. She is bathed in a soft nimbus and is attired in rich ivory robes. She sits on an ancient stone throne with a blooming dogwood tree behind her. The throne is overgrown with lush vines and draped with scores of serpents. She releases a single white dove and looks to Retribution and says, "Seek wisdom." Retribution emerges from his vision as Mirabelle is collapsing into her chair. Moved by his vision, Retribution tells his new companions that he needs to seek a temple in the city. Due to the pale woman's near elvish appearance, he decides to seek the shrine of Corellon Larethian. The elven priestess there can make no sense of his vision. He also informs her that he was told to seek wisdom. At a loss, the priestess tells him the search for wisdom is often a lifelong journey for many in life. But in the absence of more specific information, it is hard to be helpful. She does tell him that true visions are often a blessing from powerful entities. They may seem enigmatic at first. However, the signs may gain greater clarity if he can recognize them outside the vision. In time, visions often reveal themselves to the patient and observant. Without specific direction, the adventurers puzzle over what to do next. They return to the tavern, where most of the former patrons have left. However, the half-elven minstrel is still there, and they inquire with her about the Fae. She then sings them a dark ballad of Fae who prey upon children. Unnerved, Retribution convincingly tells her he has received a vision from an entity he believes to be a Fae. The woman becomes fearful and gathers her possessions to leave. She says she has an appointment to keep and is late for a tutoring session with a patron. Retribution implores her to stay and tell him more, but all she will say is that the Fae are fickle and dangerous, and if he truly has had visions from them, that is a terrible portent. She then hurries towards the exit. Retribution will not be evaded so easily and attempts to restrain her by the arm. However, she is adept at dodging overly eager men in taverns and easily eludes his clumsy grasp. With a yell of alarm, she runs out of the tavern. The eyes of all patrons on them, the party lets her go.
Can you continue?
Sure, I'll continue from where we left off. Tuna of Lutestrings. He also introduces his mule Percival and monkey Puppy. He claims to have common items from exotic locales.
No, you left off at the part where he grabbed her arm. You left off at the part where he grabbed her arm and she evaded him. Hello?
Got it. Let me continue from that part. Retribution will not be evaded so easily and attempts to restrain her by the arm. However, she is adept at dodging overly eager men in taverns and easily eludes his clumsy grasp. With a yell of alarm, she runs out of the tavern. The eyes of all patrons on them, the party lets her go. Some cackle crudely, while others give them hard stares. Withdrawing from the tavern, the remainder of the day is spent speculating about whether they could review the city's census records and maybe find anyone called Wisdom. In the end, they find an inn and rest for the evening. In the morning, Retribution sees Mirabelle across the room, attired in robes much finer than those she wore the day before. She is looking out the window to the east, where a golden light shines through the glass panes. She turns to him, and her face is no longer haggard and emaciated. Her demeanor is confident, and her features comely. She only speaks 2 words: seek wisdom. Retribution wakes with a compelling sense of urgency in his chest. Likewise, Vander has a dream of Mirabelle, but in it the details are vague, and the only thing he sees clearly is her face. Does not speak, but stares emotionlessly into his eyes. However, like Retribution, he also wakes with an undefined sense of urgency. They decide not to tarry in Yatar long. They conclude they should journey east in the direction of Mirabelle's gaze and the source of the golden light. Party takes time to provision themselves for a journey into the unknown, with just the vague clues of a dream to guide them. After passing through the outlying farms and homesteads of Yatar, they find an overturned cart in the road. 3 dwarves, standing atop an outcropping of rocks, waving wildly to them in apparent distress. The party cannot hear what they're yelling. Suspicious, Vander climbs a nearby tree. Radley and Retribution survey the area when there's a mighty upheaval of earth. An ankheg bursts to the surface. After unsuccessfully biting at Radley, the party strikes at it. Battered, it spits acid on Retribution. He ducks most of the stream, but some of the caustic spittle splashes over him. The creature does not survive long between the attacks of the 3 adventurers. However, the dwarves continue to frantically wave to the adventurers, and Radley and Retribution soon join them. Vander descends from the tree and investigates the cart to see if there is anything valuable to steal. He finds only crates of stone, some food, and camp supplies. He then joins his companions and the dwarves. The dwarves tell them there were 2 of the creatures, and the second is undoubtedly still out there. Then they say they're brothers on their way to Yatar with a lot of quartz, but have been trapped on the rocks for 3 days. Their ox was eaten by the creatures after their cart was overturned. They ran to these rocks for safety and have been trapped since. Yesterday, their 4th brother tried to retrieve some supplies from the cart. They'd been without food, water, or shelter. Sure enough, the monsters were still out there waiting. He was torn apart and dragged beneath the ground. Vander and Radley are completely unsympathetic to their plight, and Vander shakes them down for their 40 silver pieces. The party shames the dwarves and tells them they should have bought the ankhegs themselves. The brothers try to explain they are just miners and tradesfolk. Had it been kobolds, they could try, But these creatures are too strong for them. The party only gives them their scorn. After an hour's rest, Vander and Radley are patient and stride out to the road to provoke the ankheg. Their efforts are immediately successful. Retribution convinces the dwarves that this is their chance to make a break for it, and the three run for their lives. The party's fight with the ankheg ends quickly under the combined onslaught of their attack. Party makes camp and spends an uneventful evening in a well-used campsite they find near the end of the day. However, Retribution and Vander are again visited by compelling dreams of Mirabelle and wake with a sense of urgency, drawing them further eastward. On the road east for a second day, the party crosses paths with a westbound gnome accompanied by a mule laden with wares and a monkey. The gnome waves merrily and asks where the others are. The party asks him what he means, and he muses, "Aha, our first meeting." Then asked what is meant by that, he dismisses the question and introduces himself as Abner, a traveling tinker, cobbler of shoes, mender of pots, coiffeur of hair, and tuner for the string. He also introduces his mule Percival and monkey Puppy. He claims to have common items from exotic locales, such as a teapot from the city of Brass, paprika from the city of Dis, a silken scarf from Menzoberranzan, a door knocker from Sigil, etc. Vander inquires how he got to the city of Brass, and Abner clarifies that he got it from a tiefling who won it from a fire giant.
Continue from the fire giant.
Continue from there. Vander inquires how he got to the city of Brass, and Abner clarifies that he got it from a tiefling who won it from a fire giant who bought it from an ifrit. With no immediate offers, he then offers common items from common locations, such as a blanket, candlesticks, or some rope. Vander then inquires about the scarf, and Abner asks for 5 gold pieces, but is talked down to 3. Finally, Abner produces a small cask and shakes it, proclaiming it contains Uncle Beauregard's Premium Vigor Tonic, a remedy for whatever ails you. When asked what it does, Abner explains that it makes you happy, and sometimes makes you think you're more charismatic. Although, it can also make you very ill the next morning, but it really packs a punch. And you can sample a drop for a mere 50 gold pieces. The party universally decline. Concluding he has made his only sale, he packs up and continues westward down the road. Retribution decides to prevent his departure and grabs at the gnome. However, the little fellow is too wily and trundles down the road. The party momentarily ponders killing him and taking everything he has. But with the opportunity for easy murder out of arm's reach, they are too lazy to chase after him and exercise their sociopathic ideations. After an hour more of journeying, the road enters a wooded area. The adventurers then hear the frantic ringing of a small bell. Percival the mule gallops by, still pulling Abner's cart with the tiny bell jangling from it. Directly behind the mule is a pussycat, then Abner. Abner appears to have changed clothes, but cheerily greets the party as he hastens by, explaining he hasn't a moment to pause because they're right behind me. Looking back east, a bugbear and a trio of goblins appear in pursuit of the gnome. A goblin exclaims, "That's not him," and the bugbear retorts, "But they also look like good eating." Wasting no time, Vander immediately kills one of the goblins with a bow shot and retreats backward. Retribution and Radley close with the bugbear to engage in a slugfest. Meanwhile, the 2 remaining goblins split left and right, shooting arrows and seeking cover. Vander quickly dispatches a second goblin as handily as the first. However, the third gets the drop on him and he is felled. Retribution leaves the bugbear to Radley, and he runs to aid Vander. Radley is able to kill the bugbear after it swipes at the withdrawing tiefling. Vander regains consciousness through Retribution's lay-on-hands ability, and then he kills the last goblin with an arrow as it attempts to flee the battle. Now we're all caught up. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to add or discuss about your D&D experience.
Well, I'd play as Radley, the fighter, who doesn't really have a lot of, column inches. I think I should be more active in the campaign, but I haven't played D&D for 10 years, so I'm kind of getting into it really, really slowly.
That's understandable, Chris. Jumping back into D&D after a long break can take some time to get used to. It sounds like Radley could benefit from having a bit more of the spotlight in the campaign. How about we brainstorm some ways for Radley to become more active and involved in the story? Maybe he can take on a leadership role during combat or start developing a subplot that ties into the main quest. Instance, Radley could have a personal goal or backstory element that motivates him, like searching for a lost family member or seeking revenge against a particular enemy. This could provide opportunities for him to step up and drive the action. How do you feel about that? Any ideas on what Radley's backstory or motivations could be?
I feel like we're just following Retribution like puppies towards the east, following his vision. We did all. I got 417 experience points, so now I'm a level 2 fighter, and I'm wondering what a level 2 fighter can do that a level 1 fighter can't.
As a level 2 fighter, you get a significant new ability called Action Surge, which allows you to push yourself beyond your normal limits for a moment. On your turn, you can take one additional action on top of your regular action and a possible bonus action. This can be incredibly useful in combat, allowing you to attack twice, dash, or take any other action that might turn the tide of battle. Here's a quick overview of what you can do as a level 2 fighter. Action Surge. Once per short or long rest, you can take one additional action on your turn. This can be used for attacking, casting a spell, if you later multi-class into a spellcasting class, or any other action you might need in a pinch. This new ability, you have more flexibility in combat and can make a big impact during critical moments. It might also be a good opportunity to discuss with your dungeon master and fellow players how Radley can take on more of a leadership role or have moments to shine, especially with this new ability at your disposal. How do you feel about using Action Surge in your next session? Any specific ways you think Radley could take more initiative?
Well, it seems like Vander really gets a lot more power by being associated with the fighter. So I kind of like collaborating with Vander a lot because Vander is... Can you explain to me some of the other characters, types of races and classes? Can you tell me a little bit more about goblins and bugbears and whatever that creature was that we killed around the dwarves?
Sure, let's break it down. Your companions, Vander, race Drow Dark Elf. Drow are known for their agility, stealth, and dark vision. They have an innate ability to cast certain spells like darkness and fairy fire. Class Rogue. Rogues excel in stealth, sneak attacks, and agility. They can deal extra damage with their sneak attack ability when they have advantage, or if another enemy of the target is within 5 feet. Retribution, Tiefling Paladin. Race Tiefling. Tieflings have infernal heritage, which gives them resistance to fire damage and the ability to cast certain spells. They also have dark vision. Class Paladin. Paladins are holy warriors who combine combat skills with divine magic. They have abilities to heal, smite enemies with holy power, and protect their allies. Common enemies, goblins. Small, sneaky creatures that often attack in groups. They are known for their cunning and ability to hide quickly. Goblins are typically weak individually, but can be dangerous in numbers. Bugbears. Larger and stronger than goblins, bugbears are brutish and fierce. They are known for their strength and surprise attacks, often using their long arms to strike unexpectedly. Ankheg. This is the creature you encountered near the dwarves. Ankhegs are large, burrowing insect-like creatures. They can spit acid and are known for ambushing their prey from below ground. They are tough and can deal a lot of damage with their bite and acid spray. Types of characters, races, and classes. Races? Humans. Versatile and adaptable. Humans can excel in any class due to their balanced attributes. Elves. Known for their agility, keen for...
Cool. What was going on with the gnome and the monkey and the cat and all of this stuff? Do you have any clue what was going on with the gnome?
The encounter with the gnome, Abner, and his unusual companions, the mule Percival, the monkey Puffy, and the cat, seems to have been a mix of comic relief and potential intrigue. Elves in D&D are often portrayed as eccentric and inventive, and Abner fits this description perfectly with his assortment of exotic and mundane wares, as well as his whimsical demeanor. Here's a breakdown of what might be going on with Abner. Abner's background. Abner appears to be a traveling tinker, a character who fixes, trades, and sells various items while on the road. This role often allows such characters to be well informed about local rumors, hidden treasures, and other useful information. Unusual companions. Percival the mule. Mules are reliable pack animals, and Percival seems to be essential for carrying Abner's goods. Puffy the monkey. Monkeys can be used for all sorts of tasks, from pickpocketing to fetching small items, adding a layer of utility and charm. The cat. Cats are often associated with mystery and magic. In D&D, they can sometimes be familiars or simply clever animals that add to the whimsical nature of a character like Abner. The chase Abner's sudden appearance, change of clothes, and the fact that he was being pursued by a bugbear and goblins suggests there might be more to him that meets the eye. Here are a few possibilities. 1. He stole something. Abner could have stolen something valuable from the bugbear or its goblin minions, prompting the chase. 2. He knows something. He might have information or knowledge that the bugbear and goblins want to keep secret or exploit. 3. Distraction or decoy. Abner's eccentric behavior and rapid departure might have been a ploy to lead the party into an encounter with the bugbear and goblins for reasons unknown. Potential plot hook. Information. Abner might know something important about the area you're traveling through or the missions you're following. Quest. He might offer a side quest or have information that ties into your main quest. Magic or artifacts. The items he sells or possesses might have hidden magical properties or significance. Unraveling the mystery. Given the chaotic nature of the encounter, it's possible that Abner is intended to be a recurring character who can provide comic relief, valuable information, or unexpected aid as the story progresses. Keeping an eye out for him in future encounters might reveal more about his motives and significance to your quest. Do you think Radley would want to pursue any specific leads related to Abner? Or are you more focused on following Retribution's vision eastward?
I'm going to continue eastward with Retribution and Vander, but I think because there should be more people in our
Retribution.
There's supposed to be more people in our party, and I feel like our dungeon master Sean might be just giving us busy work until we have more of the promised people in August, as a way of giving us experience, giving us leveling up, and kind of getting us familiar with each other. But I feel like a lot of these current adventures are kind of busy work until the bulk of his campaign kicks in, when more of the people who promise to be part are part. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. It sounds like Sean is using these initial sessions to help you and the other current players get back into the groove of playing D&D, leveling up your characters, and building a team dynamic before the full party arrives. This kind of preparatory phase can be very valuable for laying the groundwork for more complex and involved adventures later on, making the most of the prep phase. Here are a few ways you can make the most of this time and set Radley up for success when the campaign kicks into high gear. Character development. Use this time to flesh out Radley's backstory and motivations. Think about his past experiences, what drives him, and how he interacts with his companions. This will make him a richer character when the full party comes together. Team dynamics. Build strong relationships with Retribution and Vander. Learn how to best complement each other's abilities in combat and role-playing situations. Establishing a solid team dynamic now will make your party more effective and cohesive later. Experiment with tactics. Try out different combat strategies and tactics. This is a great time to see what works best for Radley and how you can support Vander and Retribution in battle. Experimenting now will prepare you for more challenging encounters down the line. Skills and abilities. Familiarize yourself with all of Radley's skills and abilities. Practice using them in different scenarios so that you're comfortable and ready to apply them when needed. This includes your new Action Surge ability, which can be a game changer in the right moment. Explore the world. Take advantage of the opportunities to explore the world Sean is building. Interact with NPCs, learn about the setting, and gather information that could be useful later. The more you know about the world, the better prepared you'll be for future adventures. Looking forward. Once the full party arrives in August, you'll be ready to hit the ground running with a well-developed character and strong team connections. You can also use this time to think about how Radley will interact with the new party members and what role he will take within the larger group. Do you have any specific goals for Radley or any particular aspects of his character that you want to develop during this prep phase?
Radley's still finding his raison d'etre because honestly, I'm playing him like he's a rural rube, but Sean reminds me that Radley has a genius IQ, and even though he has got, he's the strongest physically, his dexterity is low, So I'm kind of playing him like a big, strong lunk, even though he has the intelligence required to become. You told me before, what is a human fighter who eventually gets spellcasting ability?
A human fighter with high intelligence and the potential to gain spellcasting abilities can eventually become an Eldritch Knight. Eldritch Knights are fighters who blend martial prowess with arcane magic, drawing on their intelligence to cast spells and enhance their combat ability. This archetype fits well with Radley's high intelligence and could provide a clear direction for his development. Eldritch Knight Overview. Spellcasting. At 3rd level, Eldritch Knights gain the ability to cast spells from the wizard spell list. This includes a mix of offensive, defensive, and utility spells that complement their combat skills. Weapon Bond. They can perform a ritual to bond with a weapon, making it impossible to be disarmed of that weapon, and allowing it to be summoned back to their hand if it's on the same plane of existence. Or magic. This feature allows them to make a weapon attack as a bonus action after using their action to cast a cantrip, blending magic and melee seamlessly, developing Radley's character. Given Radley's high intelligence and raw background, here are a few ways you can develop his character and start finding his raison d'etre. Intellectual curiosity. Despite his rural upbringing, Radley could have a natural curiosity.
He's also, his whatever it's called, he's a folk hero, so his background is folk hero.
Got it. Given Radley's background as a folk hero, this adds another layer to his character development. Folk heroes are typically revered in their local communities for their bravery, heroism, and acts of kindness. They often have a humble origin, but rise to prominence through their deeds. Here's how you can integrate his folk hero background with his intelligence and potential as an Eldritch Knight. Integrating the folk hero background reputation. Radley is known and respected in his home village for a significant deed, such as saving the village from a monster, standing up to a tyrant, or helping the community in a time of need. This reputation can be a source of pride and motivation for him. Community values. Despite his intelligence, Radley's actions and decisions are guided by the values and principles instilled in him by his rural upbringing. He has a strong sense of justice, fairness, and a desire to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Inspiration and motivation. His folk hero background can serve as a driving force behind his journey. Radley might seek to become an Eldritch Knight to better protect his homeland and live up to the heroic ideals that his community believes he embodies. Developing Radley's character, blending heroism and intelligence. Use Radley's intelligence to enhance his heroism. He might devise clever plans to protect his village, or use his knowledge to solve problems that others can't. Arcane knowledge. His reputation as a folk hero could open doors for him to learn about magic. Perhaps a local wise person, a retired adventurer, or a visiting scholar recognizes Radley's potential and begins teaching him the basics of spellcasting. Heroic deeds. Continue performing heroic deeds during your adventures. These actions can further solidify Radley's reputation and provide practical experience that prepares him for the challenges ahead. Role-playing tips. Humility and confidence. Balance. Radley's rural humility with his growing confidence as an intelligent and capable fighter. Show that he respects his roots but is also aware of his unique potential. Leadership and protection. Emphasize Radley's protective nature. He might take charge in situations where others are in danger, using his intelligence to strategize and his strength to act. Curiosity and learning. Display a genuine curiosity about magic and the wider world. Ask questions, seek knowledge, and show enthusiasm for learning new things that can help him protect his community and friends. Immediate steps. 1. Background integration. Share more of Radley's backstory with your party. This can help them understand his motivation.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to end now. Would you give me a synopsis of everything we've talked about and do an outro for Season 7, Episode 12 of The Chris Abraham Show, please? And thank you for being my co-host. My name's Chris Abraham, and you're ChatGPT. And mahalo nui loa and aloha kako.
Of course, Chris. Here's a synopsis and outro for Season 7, Episode 12 of The Chris Abraham Show. Synopsis. In this episode of The Chris Abraham...
Oh, also, don't forget to ask them to subscribe and like and write a review and tell their friends and share it on social media and all that other kind of stuff. Okay?
Absolutely, Chris. Let's add that to the outro. And that wraps up Season 7, Episode 12 of The Chris Abraham Show. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this adventure through the realms of Dungeons & Dragons. I'm Chris Abraham, and I'd like to extend a big mahalo nui loa to my co-host ChatGPT for all the insightful tips and engaging conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, and leave a review. Don't forget to tell your friends and share it on social media. Your support helps us reach more listeners and continue bringing you great content. Until next time, aloha kako. Thanks for having me on the show, Chris. Looking forward to hearing more about your adventures in the future. Aloha.
Mahalo nui loa. Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e.
Mahalo nui loa. Ua mau ko ka aina I ka pono. Aloha, aloha.
Thank you for listening to The Chris Abraham Show. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time.